Am I the a-hole for throwing my food in the garbage instead of giving it to my daughter? What I did was wrong, I feel stupid. I kind of snapped, I guess. My husband and I have 2 daughters. 12 years old Haley, my stepdaughter, and 2-month-old Hannah. Since I gave birth and up until about 2 weeks ago, I couldn't keep down any food outside of crackers. It would just make me sick, which the doctor said was because of me adjusting to breastfeeding and that it was normal. So up until 2 weeks ago, every single hot meal I made was eaten 100% by Haley and my husband, though I still made myself a portion just in case. Haley always ate my portion before leaving the table. She would see it set out on a plate for me, that I would try picking at, but as soon as she touched it I would stop picking at it and she would just take over. I spoke to her about it a few times because I won't eat anything that another person has touched. It grosses me out. So, she knew. She just didn't care to stop because, it's not like you're going to eat it anyways. My husband has spoken up to her several times and ultimately told me that I just wasn't making enough food because Haley was still starving after eating her plate and second helpings. When I was finally able to keep food down again, I started making more dinner to combat the issue. Like I made a big sheet pan of lasagna. Definitely should have been leftovers. But my husband had 2 helpings and the rest went to Haley because right after I made dinner, the baby was fussy and tired and ultimately needed to be fed, so I excused myself to the other room. And when I came back a half hour later, Haley was forking the last portion out of the pan, using her fingers. So, she touched it, I wouldn't eat it. Or last night, I made 5 medium-sized chicken breasts. My husband had 2, Haley had 2 and I had 1 on my plate. I was eating it slowly, so I wouldn't get sick. Haley ate her entire plate and then said, "You gonna eat that?" And put her finger directly on my chicken. My husband sent her to her room but ultimately, I didn't eat it. She knew what she was doing. Then tonight, I made 5 cheeseburgers for them, I can't eat hamburger, and 2 hot dogs for myself. Again, I ended up having to feed the baby directly after finishing dinner. They had eaten by the time I was finished feeding the baby. I make myself up my 2 hot dogs and Haley reaches over and picks up the hot dog, bun and all, and flips it over, puts it back down and says, "Was just checking if the bread was moldy," and then looks up and sees me glaring at her and says, "Oops, sorry, forgot. Guess you're not gonna eat that now so I can have it if you want." I took my entire dinner, plate and all, and chucked it in the trash can and walked off. She starts crying to my husband about not meaning to upset me and that she was just hungry. My husband yelled at me for being childish and wasting food and left with his daughter. He said, "Yeah, I get that it's annoying and I reprimand her every single time, but you didn't have to stoop to her level. You're more childish than she is." ETA. It's not just with dinner that this happens. Even when I was eating nothing but crackers, she would still ask me for my food. She eats multiple snacks during the day, as well as big breakfasts and lunches. She's been to a nutritionist and she's healthy. She has a high metabolism and just constantly wants food, as well as bored eats. Never gains a pound though. She's 5 feet 2 inches, 86 pounds. She's not overweight. She barely gains anything.